Greetings Aries, and a warm welcome to your in-depth monthly horoscope for September 2023 for the Sun or the Ascendant. Just going to give you some standout details to look out for. Please stay with me. I will explore in much greater depth all the ins and outs particularly relevant to your sign. Now we need to be mindful of the role of your ruler Mars. And Mars is in the sign of Libra, very much to do with balance, to do with fairness, but also to do with relating for the whole of this month. But technically, Mars is detrimented in the sign of Libra. But you also have the Sun with the autumn equinox moving into this area from the 25th. And there is a full moon in your sign on the 29th. So if a relationship situation really does need your attention or provide some potential, you're going to find out about it from then. But there's a gorgeous link between Venus and Mars from the 12th right through to the end of the month. Also, Venus comes out of its retrograde on the 4th, Mercury on the 15th. So those are just a few tasters to share with you, so please stay with me for more. I'd just like to share with you a very special opportunity. Year 2023 is speeding by, and year 24 racing towards us. If you order your year 2024 personal horoscope forecast now, based on your unique birth data, I'll provide for you the rest of year 2023 free of charge, but also my special package of 30% off. You'll get your character analysis report, your life roadmap, which will give you searing insights of the patterns that have played out so far, but also help you to get a much more intimate understanding of how to work with these energies. Please see the link below for more. And also, I'd just like to flag up to you that underneath this video, you can see your year 2024 free zodiac horoscope video forecast. So Aries, as you make your way into September, so the Sun and Mercury in its retrograde are in the sign of Virgo, which is very much about virtue, getting as organized as we possibly can, being very conscious of the physical realm in terms of our health, but also the more ordered things are, the more efficiently it runs, and that can help us to be that much more productive. Now, on the face of it, this all sounds absolutely spiffing. It's just that in the first week of this month, Saturn, the planet of limitation, in a very psychological part of your situation, is in a quincunx with your ruler in that sector of interaction with others, the 7th house. So if there are any strains around relationships, even sort of picky differences, that can deplete your energy. If there are not, the fact that Mercury forges a sparkling alliance to Uranus, the planet of innovation, at the start, but also the end of this month, suggests that you can roar into the month trying to find the ways to implement some fresh ideas, but also see them come to fruition as the month draws to a close. But there is a high point on the 6th. The Sun and Mercury meet, so they're exactly side by side as we see it from planet Earth. But Mercury, because of the retrograde, is this side of the Sun, so that's known as an inferior conjunction. But it also means in traditional astrology that they're in cazimi, and that's a real opportunity to use that precision and that attention to detail and that discrimination in a really positive way. Now, of course, Venus has been tracking backwards since July the 23rd for 42 days, but in the part of your situation to do with romance, play, creativity, and also your social situation. And there may have been some to-in and fro-in, some opportunities. Perhaps there has been a rekindling of some kind of a traction with someone from your past, or you have met someone new, but it may not have gone forward in exactly a straightforward way because of the retrograde, but that does end. But ironically, and this often happens in astrology, Jupiter, the planet of growth, optimism and fortune, slams on the brakes and goes into a retrograde through to the end of the year. So the energy that comes from the cazimi, the Mercury cazimi, is really asking us to use that precision, and that's going to be important to marshal resources right through to the end of the year, I feel. Also, in the first 3 weeks of this month, despite the fact that one goes forwards on the 4th, Venus, the lesser benefit, and Jupiter, the greater benefit, slams on the brakes. They're actually in a square for the first 3 weeks of this month, and that could tempt us to be a little bit more extravagant. So important to try to weigh up where we want to use our money to have some enjoyable moments and socialise, and where we may need to be a little bit more self-disciplined and thrifty. But there's no doubt about it that your ruler Mars is forging an amazing link with Venus from the 12th right through to the 30th. So when it comes to your love life, Venus going forwards isn't necessarily going to be offset by Jupiter's retrograde if you're connecting to someone who has very similar values to you, or appreciates resources in the same way as you do. So this can be quite an interesting month for you as far as those relationships are concerned. But if there has been some frustrations from the 23rd of August, or even from the 4th of August, when Mercury went into its pre-retrograde shadow, around some practical elements of your situation. Perhaps you've been waiting to hear about an appointment, a job opportunity. Perhaps it's been more difficult to get something to work quite as efficiently as you would like. Mercury going direct on the 15th will definitely help. But it doesn't come out of its post-retrograde shadow until the end of the month. So just be aware of that. But again, in a unique symmetry, there is a new moon on the 15th too. So if you have really applied yourself to try to grapple with the things that perhaps are not the sexiest, whether it's decluttering, upcycling some furniture, maybe being a little bit more conscious of what you're eating and drinking. I think the new moon and Mercury going direct, the new moon in Virgo, in your 6th house, is definitely an opportunity, particularly as, just like Mercury at the start and end of this month, it's linking in a very constructive way to Uranus. So I think if you can apply pragmatism, hard work and application to some inspiration, that could still help you to overcome the extravagance of Venus squaring Jupiter, but also Jupiter in its retrograde. Now by the 21st, the Sun is moving forwards and forging a trine to Pluto. This is one of the most important aspects in astrology, because Pluto is very much about transformation, and the Sun the core of our being. So Pluto at this part of the year, it's moved on from Aquarius, it's in your sector of success, and there may be from the 18th to the 23rd some good news around a job application that you've been waiting to hear news on. Maybe it's to do with a hospital appointment that's been delayed. Something can change at that time in your physical world, but also something can change deep within you, a big transformation. But on the 25th, we have the glorious autumnal equinox, the third of the cardinal quadrants, seeing the Sun move into your opposite sign of Libra, all about relationships, all about balance and fairness. And one of the things you're going to want from this is to be heard. But just like Mars was in that quincunx with Saturn at the start of the month, so this particular event is linking to Saturn too at 150 degrees. So over the next 13 weeks of this cardinal quadrant, you may have to work hard around the issues of trust and sincerity in terms of how your relationships feel. So if there is anyone that you're collaborating closely with, but you don't really feel that sense of security with them, unfortunately, I do feel that this is going to be revealed, particularly with the full moon in your sign on the 29th. And in fact, on the same day, Venus, the planet of relating, reaches an exact square with Uranus, the planet of tension and change in your sector of resources. So despite the fact that Mercury does end its post-retrograde shadow as the month comes to a close, and there are definitely opportunities to make progress around relationships, it will be where you feel there's a real sense of unanimity, a real respect on each side for what each of you gives and receives from the relationship. So some issues of trust can come up, but with Mars in your opposite sign, that is going to make you a little more feisty in terms of protecting your rights and maintaining your boundaries. But even if a relationship that may have been bumping along the bottom does finally come to an end, be assured, in October on the 14th, there's a glorious solar eclipse in the sign of Libra, which gives your relationship hopes a massive boost for the following 6 months. So to summarise, this is a month when perhaps around resources some care may be needed, with Venus and Jupiter in that right angle for 3 weeks, but there can be some gorgeous opportunities to socialise and connect. But the people or person you connect to needs to be someone you can really trust and rely upon. And if that is lacking, that's likely to come into the open. But when it comes to the practical strands of your situation, something that's been really stuck can make progress, but you may need to take a fresh look at something that you were approaching in a different way in the past. And by the end of the month, and Mercury's linked back to Uranus again, and that new moon on the 15th linking to Uranus, you can finally see a breakthrough, which really gives you an enormous amount of personal satisfaction at what you've achieved. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do like, share, comment, or subscribe.